Hello, Andrew here of AppsGamer76. In this video I'd like to talk about a few issues that seem to have arisen around Mass Effect Andromeda, including animation, story and possibly a couple of other bits. But firstly I want to talk about something that has really got my goat up. This is the harassment of one of the EA staff members who seems to be identified as the lead facial animator on Mass Effect Andromeda. The name of the staff member in question is Ali Rosemary Liost. She's been getting an absolute tidal wave of abuse for the past couple of days. This has led to BioWare General Manager Aaron Flint releasing a statement stating that recently a former EA employee was misidentified as a lead member of the Mass Effect Andromeda development team. These reports are false. We respect the opinions of our players and community and welcome feedback on our games, but attacking individuals regardless of their involvement in the project is never acceptable. This abuse seems to have started after an article was released by Ethan Ralph of the Ralph Retort. This report showed images of Ali Rosemary's Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook pages showing that she was the lead facial animator. But she wouldn't be the first person, would she, that over-exaggerated her influence or importance on a project. Many people have done that and it will continue to happen. So that is no proof that she was actually lead facial animator. I mean, whether she is or not, and when you look into the credits on the actual game, it shows that she was working in the Capture Lab, actually in EA, rather than actually for BioWare, and along with another 20 other staff members. And there is no sign of lead next to her name, which during the rest of the credits any lead staff member had lead next to the name. So that pretty much suggests that she is over exaggerating, but that is still no reason for anybody to attack her in the way that they have done. It's an absolute disgrace. So I want to go into a few of these tweets that she's actually received. Some of them are pretty shocking really, and I feel sorry for these people. Do they have a life? All they do is just sit around spilling bile. But let's go into them and take a look, shall we? Got one here. You are least talented person on the planet. Congratulations. Seems nice enough, doesn't it? And another one. You being lead facial animations designer is like letting a nurse still in training be a doctor for the day. That's a good one. What we got this time? Nice animations you got there, girl. Get back in the kitchen. I'll laugh my ass off. Yeah. Some of these people are really quite nice. But then we get to the juicy ones. I mean, what about this one? I wonder how many dicks sucked to get a gig as lead designer for BioWare? Yeah, and then we've got this. Still wondering how many dicks had to suck to get a position like that with such little talent or experience. And then a reply, 37 at once. Very nice. We've got another one here. Can I stick my dick in yourself so you can learn new facial animations? Nice having Daddy BioWare saying crap to defend you. You know, these people, I'm sure, do they actually have a life, or do they just go around finding something they can get hold of and wring the neck out of it? It's beyond me. It really is. And the last one, can I stick my dick in you so you can learn a few more facial expressions? I mean, come on. Would these people like it if you started sending them things like this? I don't think so. They'd probably run off to the little mums saying, no, they're saying nasty things about me. And we've got another one. So whose dick did he suck to get the job at BioWare? Terrific job, by the way. Yeah. And it goes on and on and on. Some of these people really need to think before they write anything. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and at times it makes me sad to think that I'm a gamer and I can be associated with people like this, because it's wrong. What they're doing is completely and utterly wrong. And the other thing is, they don't seem to have a grasp of how many people it takes to make a game. Is she the only person working on that animation? No. I mean, just in that video capture lab, there was 21 people in there. So, no, she's not. She's not the only one. And then after all that's done and completed, everything has to go through QA, testing, things like that. Then it's got to get the okay by upstairs. And so there's far more. And that animation should have been picked up by other people. So how it has got through, I have no idea. Oh, it really riles me up, because there's no need for it. There's no point to it. And if people don't understand what's involved in making these things, then they should go out and find out before they start doing this. So, okay. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. My rant is over on that anyway. So, let's talk about these animations for a bit. They're not brilliant. They're not fantastic. But there's been games that have, if not worse, just as bad animations. I mean, look at Fallout 4, for instance. Jeez. That game was saved by the modders. There's no doubt about it. It was far worse than what Mass Effect is, in my opinion. And that's an opinion. It's not. I'm not stating a fact. That is an opinion. I found Fallout 4 animations to be seriously off-putting, whereas I've been playing the early access through Origin Access, and to be honest, the animations didn't really bother me. I saw a few that were not brilliant, yeah, but they weren't too bad. They weren't massively out there. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few. I was watching one last night, and as Sarah was getting into the shuttle, she seemed to be cross-eyed. I suppose it's just little things. What worries me more is to do with the lack of facial expression. There doesn't seem to be much there. Apart from around the mouth, there doesn't seem to be much movement. But that can be fixed. It's like most things in a game can be fixed these days. So yeah, we'll leave that at that. I've also heard mention that the story's no good. And again, this is my opinion. I have no issue with the story. Not one bit. It seems a bit slow to start, but I think that's the nature of these size of games these days. When you look at games like The Witcher 3, I mean, don't get me, I love The Witcher 3. I am mad on The Witcher 3. Over the Xbox One and the PC, I've got about 1,300 hours in that. So, before anybody says I don't know what I'm talking about, they can shut up. The first section in White Orchard, you think about it, that was seriously slow. Not really much to it. Yeah, you're going around, you're trying to find Yennefer. When it comes to Mass Effect, there did actually seem to be more there to start with than The Witcher. It seems unfair that people are actually judging the story on the first few hours of this game. I personally feel the story is going to grow and get more in depth the longer you get into it. And possibly they should have shown a bit more off of the story in the early access. But obviously, I can see why they didn't want to do that, because they didn't want to spoil it. So, the thing is, it seems to be a reoccurring theme these days that games of this size start off slowly and build, rather than just throwing you right in at the deep end straight away. And I like that. I like that, the fact that you've got to go through the story, and then it builds the tension, and rather than, God, it's tense right from the start. Don't want that. Well, I don't personally. Also, a lot of people are talking about glitches and frame rate drops and things like that during the early access. Now, that is something I didn't really have a problem with. I never really saw anything that caused me any issues with the frame rate. I mean, I'm running a 1070 and I've just got a bog standard 6700. I ain't got a 6700K, and it was quite happily running on ultra settings at around 85 to 90 frames. So, and it never dropped below, it never ever dropped below 70. So I don't know, I don't know what's happening there. I can't say I experienced that issue. But when it comes to other glitches, I remember when The Witcher 3 first came out, I had that day one, and that was absolutely full of them. And as I said earlier, I love the game, it's brilliant, but I've got friends who were playing it on PC and they couldn't get past certain parts. They couldn't do story quests because they'd freeze, and they'd repeatedly freeze at the same point. So it's just not, it seems to me that all games these days are coming out, are being launched with issues that shouldn't really be there. There should be, it's as if the developers aren't really testing the games properly, and they're using the players to actually find out what's wrong, which to me seems wrong. All this should be sorted out, and it should be sorted out in every game that is released, so everything works as it should do for launch. So we shouldn't have to put up with having all these patches, but it happens in every game now, and it's wrong. It's wrong everywhere. It's one of them things. It's something I think we're going to have to put up with, and I'm sure BioWare will sort patches out that'll make it run more smoothly. Things will be done to improve the animations. I know it's not going to be ready for day one. They've already said the animation patch won't be ready. It won't be there for the day one patch, but I'm sure they will have one coming after what's been said. I'm sure they will sort that out, or at least improve it to what it is now. We shall see. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to call this video it. It's gone a lot longer than I expected it to, actually, because when I get going, and I can't shut up, unfortunately. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.